Justice for Alonso. Justice for Alonso. Oh, hello there. My name's Tom. Did anyone hear something then? I'm not sure. Was it just me? I don't know. But justice for Alonso. Please. Yeah, my name's Tom. Back talking about F1 Fantasy. This is my team, which from the COTA Grand Prix, in case you hadn't, got the hint, like, justice for Alonso. Come on, FIA, sort yourselves out and come on, play on. Give me my points back. I want them back. Yeah, anyway, we're going to be looking ahead to the Mexican Grand Prix. I'm not bitter at all. I'm not a bitter old man. Give me my points. But yeah, we're going to be looking ahead to the Mexican Grand Prix. Let's try and be professional now. And yeah, this is my team at the moment. I've made one sub already. We're just going to discuss what I'm thinking at the moment. I got rid of Hamilton because I thought, his price is going to continue to plummet in the same way, but it's actually, going up because play on to play on. They don't like telling us what's going on. So who knows, just trying to second guess things. Alonso's dropped a couple of points. Magnussen's dropped, increased, up to 0.4. It seems to be very much based on like last race. Now that the points per million are kind of leveled out a little bit, I think the it looks like it's going to be kind of a reaction to what happens on the race. Sainz DNF'd, drops. Alonso kind of technically DNF'd. He dropped, and then everyone else in my team are all going up because they all did well. So it looks like perhaps after Mexico, basically anyone who DNFs or doesn't do well expect their price to drop. So, but to be honest, we've only got 3 races left. Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, done. That is it. That's the end of the season. So the budget, although it's annoying when the prices jump around a little bit, it's not. It's just not going to be relevant in literally a couple of races time. And you can still have a very good team even without if you miss out on like 500,000 or whatever, it's annoying. And in fact, I'm actually a little bit short myself of one of the potential teams I was looking at. And you can see I'm 0.4 short. I was thinking of going with a team like this, bringing in Sebastian Vettel, the man of the moment. Everyone raving about his performance in COTA, and rightfully so, did very well. And he could also be on a race streak in a couple of races. If he top tens in Mexico, he could be on a race streak going into the next race. So yeah, I was tempted by when I was thinking about team structure and thinking, no, I just stick with the template, get Vettel in as the budget option, but I can't quite get there, which is a little bit annoying. But I'm sure there's lots of people out there with a budget that can. But, if you can't, I would have normally gone with Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll might still be a good option, but he does have a 3-place grid penalty because of what happened with Alonso. Give me the points. Give me the points. Yeah, so Lance Stroll, for me personally, probably not going to go with this race just because he's going to be pushed back. And you know what happens when people get those little mini grid penalties? If they don't qualify well, which Lance Stroll is very susceptible to doing, then they might just whack a whole new engine in there, and all of a sudden he's starting from the pit lane, and it doesn't look great, to be honest. So yeah, let's get rid of Stroll because he's annoyed me because of my Alonso points, which I'm going to keep banging on about this entire video. No, I'm not. That's the last time I'm going to mention it. Can't promise. But anyway, yeah, going into the next race, let's just revert back to the team I've got at the moment. I could actually quite happily kind of just sit on the team like this, just sit on what I deem the template. Carlos Sainz should be a good turbo driver, even though he completely flopped in COTA, but that wasn't his own fault. Sainz has been caught up in a couple of these little incidents through, I think, more than anyone else actually. He's DNF because of accidents happening which aren't really under his control. And he's on that quali streak, and I still think for Mexico, Carlos Sainz is the best turbo driver option. As for the rest of the team structure, like I said, I've already made a substitution, so for me personally, I'm probably going to do one or two things, and one of those two things is either kind of leave it like this, or we want to try and capitalise on Max Verstappen, the beast. The beast that is Max Verstappen. He's on that quali streak, which is always tempting. I know it's only an extra 5 points, which in the grand scheme of things, I've said this before, isn't great. But if you can get those quali points, the streak points, then why not try and capitalise on them? So if I did go for Max Verstappen, I'd be interested in looking at something like this: get rid of Leclerc, bring in Verstappen, and then I could either get rid of Perez, and then I'll probably have someone like Lando Norris. I'm not entirely sure how well McLaren are going to go around. McLaren are just very inconsistent, although they've been on the up a little bit in the last few races. But yeah, I'm just not entirely sure I trust McLaren. I definitely trust Lando Norris. I think he's a very reliable driver. But when the car just doesn't suit the track, it just he's not going to get those points very comfortably. So I kind of got to weigh up: is Leclerc and Perez? Bear in mind it's Perez's home race. Is Leclerc and Perez going to outscore Verstappen and Norris? Bearing in mind Verstappen's also on that quali streak. And obviously the points are going to be heavily leaning towards Verstappen. And I think Verstappen should do well. We all know the Red Bull and its fabled straight line speed. And if you know your track, Mexico, like the whole sector one is basically a straight line. It's just a huge straight line, little right, little left, little right into another straight line. That's sector one basically. So yeah, obviously the rest of the track isn't quite as straightforward. But I think that the Red Bull should still go well around here. We went around here last year, even though it was a different car technically. I do think Verstappen's going to do well just because he's just so consistent. I mean, he's just so consistent and so good. And Red Bull is just so, like, as a team and as a car, like it's just so reliable and consistent that effectively doubling up by having Red Bull as constructor and Verstappen in my team is definitely tempting. I could also see myself potentially like keeping Perez, and then I'd personally find like 5 million. So I got two options that way. I could get rid of Car Signs, even though I don't think I will, because like I just said, I think he's the best turbo driver option. But that would cut me down to a budget down here. So I'd be looking at someone like Ocon or Vettel, most likely. I could double up. You can just make everyone blue, make a blue team, apart from Magnussen. So I could double up on that Alpines, although I'm not completely sure about that. Ocon's been in a little bit of a dip of form, I would say, overall recently. And Vettel definitely could be a good shout. So I could definitely see myself going with a team like this. Could be quite comfortable with that. And like I say, Vettel could be on that race streak the following race. So having a team like this with Vettel already in there would be good. The only trouble, obviously, as I've touched on, is that means I would have to turbo drive Alonso or Vettel. So I'd probably definitely want to keep actually Carlos Sainz, which means I would have to drop Alonso. That drops me down to someone who's sub 5.8 million, so Schumacher downwards. And it's not great. It's pretty bare bones when you're picking the budget from down here. I could see myself potentially going double Haas, although I just don't see Schumacher scoring very well. If we look at how much Schumacher scored recently, 12, 1, 3, 15, 2, 1. There's lots of single digit things in there, and not even good single digits. So not overly excited about bringing in the double Haas. Definitely don't really want Daniel Ricciardo. He sounds like he just wants the season to end. Like, why would you want someone on your fantasy team who's just said, he's had a miserable time in Kota, he just can't work out what's going on. The car clearly just doesn't suit him for whatever reason. There might be multiple reasons, there probably are. Just, I don't like the idea of picking Ricciardo, so for a budget option, that leaves me kind of with Latifi. Also not really that interested in picking Latifi. The other option I would be more tempted in with Guan Yu Zhou. Alfa Romeo have had those new upgrades installed, which were looking promising. Bottas probably would have scored some good points at Kota if he hadn't made that mistake and ended up in the gravel. So I think it's kind of promising for Alfa Romeo. So if I do go down this route, then I could see myself bringing in Guan Yu Zhou. And I quite like this team because it's kind of going all in on Red Bull. As I've already stated, Red Bull are quite clearly the best team, and you've only got Perez in this home race. I'm quite happy to sort of double up on both Perez and Verstappen, and the rest of the team still looks fairly solid. Like Carlos Sainz as turbo driver, as long as he finishes the race, which he should do, he should score well. Should be looking at least 20 to 30 points for Carlos Sainz. We should be seeing that. And especially with that quali streak. So, and then you just got the filler, whatever you can afford, the riffraff, chuck them into the crowd. For me, Magnussen, Magnussen's actually been performing quite well recently. Let's have a look at the last few races: 21 points, 13, 5, 10, 8, 9. So fairly consistent after a really barren run of some negative points. So I'm quite happy to just stick Magnussen in the team still. And like I say, Guan Yu Zhou could be like the lesser of a few evils down here. Otherwise, maybe double Haas. But yeah, that's kind of the Verstappen build I'm looking at. I am quite tempted by this kind of all-in on Red Bull build. But alternative to that, like I say, I'll kind of stick with the more templatey build. But depending on how I feel, I'll have a look at obviously what happens in the practice sessions, and I think we'll make my decision based on that. Now, as for a budget build, I don't know what a budget is nowadays. Like, when I was looking at budget builds a few videos ago, that was before PlayOn went crazy with the team values. And like a budget build was like 103 million. Now a budget build is probably like 115 million or something, which is absolutely absurd to me. But it is. But anyway, let's have a quick think about what we can do. So I've got 125 million in the bank. So imagine I have a budget of 115 million. That means I would still need to shave off like another 8 million from a team like this. Who would I shave off for 8 million? Alonso can't go anywhere because I can't cut him automatically down to one driver, which means I'd have to cut down like Leclerc, Perez, or Sainz. So I could see potentially, I don't really want to get rid of Perez if I was on a budget, down to Lando Norris, like in that sort of region. Where are we? Lando Norris there. So you could sort of go with a team like this. That's around about the 114, 115 million mark. But I do really like the Red Bulls, and I don't want to I don't want to move away from them too much. So if, again, I think turbo driving Sainz is the best option, so I don't want to get rid of him. That means you probably have to get rid of Carlos Sainz for someone like Lando Norris. Now, that could be Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc, the guy that drives in red, one of the two. Yeah, so you could see for a budget option maybe going down like a team like this and just kind of cutting out some Ferrari shenanigans, because Ferrari are just a bit. I'm not sure I want to get too heavy on them, but yeah, I'm not really sure what else you can do really. I definitely wouldn't compromise on the constructor. The constructor is just so valuable, and look how many points Red Bull are scoring. Look at that consistency. 69, 72, 65, 65, 64, 86, 63, 62. They are unstoppable, and they're on a race streak. I would not compromise Red Bull as a constructor this week. Mercedes are on that double streak, but I just don't think they can compete with Red Bulls. I really don't, even with that funky new wing that they're threatening to test out. But look at them in comparison: 60, 32, 6, 50, 58, 29, 76. Like, there are some very good scores in there, but the consistency compared to the Red Bulls is just not there. The Ferraris, for me, no streaks for them, and they're just not as strong. For me, I would not compromise, regardless of your budget, on Red Bull this coming race. And now I've said that, now I've spoken up Red Bull so much, they're clearly going to have the DNF, aren't they? But there we go. That's the nature of the things that we can't always see. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Anyway, that's it from me anyway. I'm probably not going to have time to do any like final thoughts videos because of the timings of like the FP1, FP2. The time difference of Mexico to UK is all a bit of a mess. So I'm probably not going to have any time to do any more videos because I'm really busy on Saturday as well. So yeah, I'll probably be back in a week or so for team selection for Brazil, which is a sprint race, and possibly the last chance to use your turbo driver if you've managed to be that patient on it so far. So yeah, that's it for me. Very tempted and leaning towards bringing in Max Verstappen at the moment, although I will be kind of happy to go with a team like this with a kind of a template build. It's just kind of like that safe build. I'll be kind of happy with that. It's kind of whatever for me. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, catch you soon. Bye bye for now.